right, welcome back to the Voice of Faith Radio Church, and we are actually getting into the mid-morning transmission gradually, and I want to remind you that the chaplains that are out there are in Jos and its environs. Don't forget that our meeting comes up, that's the routine fitness parade and briefing updates comes up on Saturday 8 a.m. the 10th of April at the College of Chaplain premises. Okay, please inform others also as you are being informed right now. And then this is to all cadets that your school resumes tomorrow, classes resume tomorrow from the Easter break. So all cadets, the set 20 or batch 20, squad 20, you are meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. All right, we were talking about creating content for the future, for tomorrow. Creating content, and then I actually came up with the thought of, let me do a brief one on that. Is it even this I'm doing right now? I'm actually creating content because I'm uploading it, after the meeting. I've got quite a lot to upload now between yesterday and today. Now, you see, life is all about opportunities. Can I start with that? In creating content, bear this in mind. You got to create content because life is all about opportunities. Do you want to hear that again? You got to create content at every time, every opportunity you have, because life is all about opportunities. And the difference between any two persons is just that word, opportunities. Now, the difference as in lifting, as in promotion, as in recommendation, as in recognition, as in appointment, as in employment, as in promotion, as in success. The difference between you and that person is just simply opportunities. And that's the reason why every chance, every place you go, and every time available to you, every opportunity you have, be using it to create content. You don't wait until you're thirsty before you put water in your home. You don't wait until you have thirst before you put water in your home. Very important lesson. You see, we always want people to help us. We always ask for help from people. And many times when we don't get it, we conclude about them. Either that they don't want to help us, or because they are wicked, or because of one demonic thing, one family spirit following us, or the other. Now, I came from a family background where they describe them as people that rise from the rock. People that, didn't have any background to actually stand on. There are some families, that are, they're good backgrounds. They have financial stability, they have strength, they have the connections and all of that. But I don't have it. My father was quite, helpful to me. He was really willing to help. My father was willing to give me everything that would help me in life. And one of the ways I established that was that he took me from the village. I've told that story before, of how he took me behind, a Bedford, this wooden Bedford, with his mom. Okay, my grandmom. He took us together that day away from the village, somewhere in Ojagba area in Arulogun, of Oyo State, Ibadan area. He came and picked us from there. And when he took us, we were in that, Ajampako, they call it Bedford, built with, and he could not have a seat to sit because it was getting to the evening time. So he had to hang, on the right side of that, Bedford. And his mom sat at on the last bench or the last part of the bench, because it was bench they used. It was usually, sometimes 3, sometimes 2 on inside that vehicle. So he clipped me to, with his laps to that, near his mom. The mom was holding me, and then he guarded me so that I wouldn't fall off. As I say, these tears almost rolled down my eyes, because I love those two people. They played major role in my life. Now, if they had allowed me not to, to rot away in that village, I would probably have, not known anything today. And I want to thank God. They are both late today. My grandmom is late. My father also is late. And I want to today dedicate this to them. Yafanike and Baba Samuel Akisami. I want to say thank God for you. And I appreciate you all, both of you, for especially the role you played. My grandmom played the role of my mother. Yeah, at the initial stage. I didn't grow up with a mom. I didn't know what it means to have a mother. So it, to a very large extent, affected my growing up. And I didn't know what they call the mother's love. Do you see? You see, tell your stories so that people will know where you're coming from, and then they will not misunderstand the way you live your life. I remember we got to, Idianyure, somewhere, about that time as a young boy. And then he did all he could. He resettled us in his father's house. And my grandfather then, did not even show any interest, was not even concerned about anything concerning the woman. The mom, it was much later. I'm talking about late last year was when I got to know that my grandmom was actually betrothed to my grandfather. He was not, she wasn't his original wife. She actually was married to someone else who died, and then they now betrothed her to him. That story, I didn't know who exactly, it was that she was married to. I still have one surviving uncle. Maybe I'm going to ask him, Uncle Adeoye. So now, I think that was responsible for the way the woman was treated. And unfortunately, that was where the side I belonged. You see, even if they give birth to you in the wrong path, or you think it's the wrong family, you don't choose the family you come out from. But you see, opportunities will always come in one way or the other. I remember that day we got to, E7/98A, VOFR-BUILD. That was, you can imagine, that was in 1970, 71. And I still remember, no, 1970, it was early 70. I still remember the address of the house, E7/98A. Okay, for Baba Saleh, that's the place then. And we were taken to the backyard, the back of the house. It was an upstairs that's broken down for a long time now. And my father prepared, those days it was tea and bread. Pit milk was what they would use those days, and Bonvita. And then they would make it with hot, tea, hot water, and then with sugar, and then with bread. We have the culture in our own place of soaking the bread into the tea to take. I'm seeing my grandmom the way she was taking it, and myself. Her son prepared it for us. Nobody welcomed us with anything else. I think they finally got stew. Now you see, I'm remembering the stories. Don't be wicked to children, because they will remember. Don't ever be wicked to children. Don't. I remember all of this. I saw all the players. And as I grew up, in that house, I was the only son that was staying with her. My uncle's children, late Brother Adebayo, late Auntie Bosse, were all grown. And then my youngest brother then, his son was Sheye, and he's still alive, and I thank God for him. And, I remember all of these stories. Sometimes, if you don't have a background that is sweet, it can develop bitterness in you, and you begin to treat everybody around you, in a very funny way. Please don't. You went through what you went through so that God will use you, or use that to help others. I lived that story, and then until 1973, before I was given the opportunity to go to primary school. You can imagine how long I waited. I didn't go to school. And in 1973, I was given the opportunity to go to school in Zumratul Islamiyya Primary School, somewhere along Mile 2 or Joe Road, before the Nigerian Army Signal Barracks. That was where I went. I had the opportunity to go to school. We're together in the same compound with LA Primary School. They were using yellow, top and blue shirt, while a blue shirt maker, yeah, while we're wearing white top and blue shirt too. You see, this with the story, I'm saying this to you today so that you can remember that there are people that pretend that they don't have a background, and they paint the picture of that they were born with silver spoon in their mouth. You see, what God is going to do with you and for you, only Him knows. But you see, if you were born in a family setting where everything was rough, it doesn't mean you're going to live a rough life. It doesn't mean you're going to be poor. It doesn't mean, no. Here I am today. I may not be a billionaire, a millionaire, but I am not where people left me. Life, you see, what opportunity does is it transforms you. It makes people not to meet you where they left you. Do you understand? That's what opportunity does. Opportunity is a transformer. Do you understand me? Opportunity is a transformer. I was making fun with one of my sons the other day, and I said to him that a man that has a very bad experience in marriage becomes a philosopher. He begins to philosophize, quotable quotes and all of that. But you see, life is a teacher. Life is an instructor also. You can be anything in life, but it's a choice. With all of that rough background that I had, and I went through those terrains, I didn't have opportunity. Is it to talk about finishing the primary school where there was no opportunity to go to, secondary school? Thank God for my primary 4 teacher, Mr. Femi Manuel. You see, there are key people in your life, you will not forget them, even though you want to forget them because of your so-called present status. Mr. Femi Manuel, I don't know where he is today, if he's still alive, may God bless him. He was the one that taught me in primary 4, and he was an Ondo man again, and he usually would teach me, and when I finished school, he called me, he said, come back, since you couldn't go to school, come back to primary school. I went back and I was teaching in his class. It was an afternoon session he was in. So I would be in this class waiting for him. I'll be deputizing, and then he will come and take it from there. He will buy food and give me to eat. And along the line, I think he discussed my matter with Mr. Adeyemo, J.A. Adeyemo. That was the name of my headmaster in that school that time when they moved us to somewhere in Alabaoro. And he discussed my situation with him. I just believe that was what happened. He said service is what actually forms the bedrock. Service forms the rug you're going to match, you're going to step on. Service forms everything. And that's why you don't have money, you don't have good family background, and then you now have pride again, especially if you're a lady. You think it's all about your breast, it's all about your your back, your backside, it's all about your fixing of your hair. It's more than that. Those ones, men will repeat and they will go. Do you understand? The brain is important. You see, women are made up of, they're concerned about the beauty, the brain. They look at them. A woman is what? Made up of beauty, brain, and body. A woman is made up of what? Beauty, brain, and body. Take note of that. Beauty, brain, and body. But most of the time, most of our girls, they develop the beauty, they develop the body, and they leave the brain undeveloped. And that's why people take advantage of them. So the man thinks it's all about his, macho look and then the sweet talk. No. I remember clearly that time Mr. Adeyemo called me and said, look, you've been coming back to teaching school. What do we do for you? You want to go to secondary school? I said, yes. I also had a delay, so I had to go back to that primary school. And thank God it was the time that UPN, that political party, came to power in Lagos State. And I would forever, that was why I made a tribute to Alhaji Lateef Jakonde of blessed memory who just passed on. I'm grateful to him, and I thank God for his family that he gave me the opportunity to return, even at that age that I was. Old man in secondary school, what about that? There's no age limit to education. You see, I'm talking about creating content. Now, those are part of the content of my life that actually has become what you are seeing today and hearing today. This is me talking to you on our own internet radio. You may think, it's not a big deal. Okay, get into it and see. So, you see, I thank God that man called me to his office and he said, okay, move around with me. You're going to be serving me now. You won't be in the class any longer. You'll be following me everywhere. And I remember then they gave them some allowances. The government gave them some money that time. He bought a 504 GL and they also had a saloon 120Y. if you remember that car. And so each day he comes with anyone, he put me inside the car, and then he would drive everywhere the headmaster went. I followed him. I carried his bag. I remember that brown bag, headmaster's bag. And everywhere he was going, I would follow him. If he goes to any book or any cafeteria to eat, he will also buy for me. So I stopped being in the class with Mr. Manuel. I started following him. Now, you remember when it was time for the G2 these days, he told me, come on, I've added your name, go and write it. We wrote it again, the second one I wrote at Hope Commercial Institute, somewhere in Alaula TV. And I passed it again. I wasn't attending class, but I passed it again. And the two of them, I still have the certificate. They were both distinctions. And after that, he said, okay, these people are going to secondary school. That was the set that time. I said, no, I don't know. He said, your name did not come out. They were giving everybody their own card. Green card. I remember Alhaji Lateef Takun, the first time they were giving students, it was signed with red signature, but the card, one small card like that, green card, Lagos State government. And he gave everybody their own, and he said to me, well, I tried all the best I could, but I couldn't get it for you. Would you mind if I send you to Abeokuta to go to school? I said, sir, anywhere you send me. I didn't, cry. I just said, sir, anywhere. And he said, no problem. Just wait a bit. Then after some time, he looked into my eyes. I don't know what he wanted to hear from me. Old people, be careful when you work with old people. Don't be too quick to talk when you are working with old people. You understand? Be patient with them. There are things they want to tell you, but they will say something halfway. They will wait for you. Your reaction will determine whether they're going to give it to you. Be careful with people who are old and they're wise. And then be careful with people who have experiences. And so I just sat there. I stood there before him. In those days, you stand before your headmaster, your hands behind you, and all of that. And I was always in short neck. I follow him everywhere. Praise the Lord. And one good thing about this whole life is that the man eventually just raised up a little paper on a book on his table, and he brought out my own. After every student had gone, I was always going to be the last with him. I was his servant. So he opened it and he said, here is your admission. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine what was happening to me? That I was going to go there, Emmanuel Wahidi Akesami. Now, think about what was happening in my mind right there. I'm adding my other name that that they called that Emmanuel. Then it was Wahid. All right. Ashiwaju. Akisami was going to go to secondary school. No, that was a big one for me. I couldn't say a word. That day, I was ready to follow him to anywhere, to do anything he asked me to do. When I held that card, that I was me, that I would go to secondary school. No. Do you see life? God positioned, it was the service, it was the availability. Mr. Manuel was a teacher, Femi Manuel. He was the guy teacher we had there. He used to wear bobo trousers and these Ikenga superstars. If you remember the kind of high heel they used to wear. Remember that time of Ikenga Danu, the man that sang that Sweet Mother and all of that. And then, Baga too. All of this, they are set. Yes. Okay, the other man that sang the other one too. But you see, it was Mr. Femi that I was serving. Mr. Femi made the way with Mr. Adeyemo. Mr. Adeyemo made the way to get into secondary school. Getting to secondary school, I don't know who I was going to meet. I didn't know that another woman was waiting for me there. And that was where my principal took it from. Mrs. Fakorede took it from there, of blessed memory. That's one woman that I would have loved to bring to live in my house as my mother today. I would have loved to have her stay with me in my own house. But only heaven knew what happened, that I'd lost contact. I'd always tell God to forgive me for losing contact with that woman. When I heard that she passed on, last year, I wept like a baby. Listen to me. That was another person that God. You see, God said to me, at every bus stop, I will provide the next bus. Hear me, my friend. The content of your life are the things you involve yourself in now, the services you are rendering, the association you are keeping, the opportunities you are using. They are the content. And you see, it's building on the other. One thing is building on the other, building on the other, building on the other. You can imagine the story from Mr. Femi Manuel to Adeyemo now to secondary school Mrs. Fakorede. Now again, I flung it. I didn't make the right first time. The papers were not complete. She insisted like a mother. She refused that I should go. She made sure that I returned. The very next exam, I sat for it. Friends of mine, you're listening to me today. How rough has your own story been? Do you think you have a rough story? You think you have a rough start? Did you just hear mine? That's just part of it. I just told you from the village, somewhere in Ojagba. And we came down to Idianyure. From there to Okiofa. From Okiofa to Lagos. Now, what part of Lagos? Mile 2 Ojo Road. Just close to the signal barracks. And from there, the journey, continued to where we are today. Today, I live in the northern part of Nigeria. From here, my service as a pastor. Youth service brought me here. Pastoral work as a pastor. Pastoral work, chaplaincy work. College of Health Technology. Radio ministry. From there, got into so many other things, the social media and all of that. From that same corner in Yantrela there, the world is hearing what we're doing today. From that same place, I never knew anybody. That same place, God, from the work I'm doing, Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10. What things soever your hand finds to do it with all of your life. But there's no work in the grave where you go. In that same Yantrela, despised, crisis, so many things happened, misunderstood, maligned. The church was there as the base. And on Facebook, not anywhere, on Facebook, comes again. Of course, before that time, during the chaplaincy, Habib came, linked me up with chaplaincy, got trained, and Habib left. But because of my commitment and tenacity with the work of chaplaincy, Habib left. And from there, the work that I was doing made them to say, call him, we want to see him in Ota. And that was how I met Olatubosun Ige of blessed memory, the Baba that brought IPEC to Africa. You see the story. Build content. And as I was doing all of this, I was having records of all I was doing. Photograph, I was keeping record. When I even started Gate Represent Church, Mr. Wahid, he was a teacher in government secondary school in Gengere then. He was my photographer. As a youth couple, I would tell him, come to church and snap photographs for me. Let me have records. If you visit the website, you will see it on the Word of Truth Church there. The picture you saw there was snapped in the early 90s. 91 or so, 1999, 91. Where you see the little group of people that were there that started the church. Mr. Wahid was always coming for every service. And the record was going. And that was where I met Baba Ige, Olatubosun. He said, tell him to come, and I went. And because of the work I was doing here, they recognized it. Listen, service there's an odor that goes with service. It smells even beyond you, after you. So if you think you're doing good to anybody now, it's to yourself and for yourself. Baba Ige promised that he was going to do one thing. That he was going to bring the Bible school. He's going to give me a what do you call it now? He said, I'll give you a pickup load of books to start the Bible school. Today we have the chaplaincy college. Even though life did not, but death took him away. He couldn't send the books and all of that. But he gave me some. And he gave me the authority to start. Gave me the incorporation certificate. Just like John Amra today. After Baba left, John Amra came in, and John Amra has been like a father too. Gave me all the documents I would need, certified me, and licensed me. Gave me all the documents, papers that would be required to operate fully as a chaplain internationally. That's why we are here today. See, all of these are contents that have been. Every encounter you have, there is an opportunity to build the content. So the difference between you and anybody who is not doing anything today or who is doing something is opportunity. But have you not been given opportunities? How did you use yours? Do you know, Pastor, the offerings that are given to you and the tithes and the love gifts, they are all opportunities. You can either invest them or eat them. You can either use them to do something now or forget them. My story around so many things, when people give me money and I use it to do ministry work as if I don't know how to buy cars, I don't know how to buy clothes, I will forever be grateful to Idowu Ibrahim. That's the guy who has helped me with. When you say I'm a BMW man, he has kept me on BMW parts since 1994. No matter what anybody says about him or what he does, all of us, one way or the other, we know that he has helped us. He's a Muslim, and I'm still praying for him. But you see, he made a statement one day. He said, "Sir, with what happened and that I noticed about you, and something happened one day that somebody insulted or talked bad of you, insulted you actually, and said you are a poor pastor, you don't have money." He said, since that day, that person said that thing. That was years back. Well, he said there was something that happened, and the person said he doesn't have money. He's a poor pastor. He said he made up his mind that as long as God blessed him or blesses him, this pastor will not trek in the city of Jos. Up till now, he still does everything to make sure that if I have a problem, he comes to help. There are other people too, but he is the main person. Other people come in, by the side, but he is the main. And I again pray that God will keep his family and bring him to the saving knowledge of our Lord Jesus. I appreciate him too. You see, in your life, God will not only bring your tribal persons, neither will God bring only your religion partners. No. It will not only be only girls or boys. It brings different people. But make sure that your life is characterized by service. Well, this is a long talk this morning. I'm always careful now not to say, let me do brief talk. It's already after 10 with 11 minutes. So I want you to listen to this again on YouTube page. I'm going to post it there. Create content. What I'm doing now is, you see, I said listen to it on YouTube page. I'm not on YouTube yet, but I intend to put it there. Because as I'm talking to you, I'm also recording myself on my own phone. So if you have the Cloud Radio app, download the green one. Okay? If you don't have, if you want to pay for it, get the blue one and pay for it. But the green one is free. And they're recording every word of wisdom that you're hearing from me. This is a church, it's not secular radio. It's meant to poke you and to check you to do the right thing. You've heard my own story. And this is where we are today. Can you tell your own story? Are you ashamed of your story? Or you're just faking and forming, making people believe that you are who you are not? Listen, if you put yourself where you don't belong, the test for that position will come. And when it hits you, you may not be able to withstand it. May God bless you. Remember, today we're talking about what? Creating content for the future. God be with you. In Jesus' name. I'll come back again much later, but I'm going to take you now and set you up to listen to good worship and praises. Shalom.